Florentine YGO.
Hey guys and gals, it is Florentine Yu-Gi-Oh here, giving you the as promised character decks profiles from the character deck duels, the last two videos I've done on this channel. So this project, these videos seem to be doing quite well for just starting out, and I'm really glad. Thanks for watching. So this is going to be the deck profile. As you can see, this is going to be the Yami Yugi Waking the Dragons deck. I decided to start this project in Waking the Dragons just because, you know, it's my favorite arc in the entire series, and at least in the original series. So there's that. I'm going to be deck profiling the three character decks shown in the last two videos. That'll be Yugi, Kaiba, and Raphael. And then we do have a really special character deck duel coming up pretty soon. If I can get my cousin on the horn to come down here, and we can have that duel. Anyway, so a few ground rules with these character decks is that they're all 40 cards, just for consistency and playability sake. They're not going to be 100% accurate because some characters, a lot of their cards haven't been printed into the real game. Unlike the Orika structure deck, where I just take the structure deck with all its anime exclusive content and just use that, these decks are going to be built with actual printed cards, but some liberties will be taken with their effects. Some effects will be errated back to the effects they had in the show, or some kind of hybrid between the two. And liberties will be taken on characters that don't have that many cards printed, but I'm still going to find cards that would like fit their theme and kind of, you know, look like or feel like something they'd play in their place. So with all that out of the way, that's the premise of the character decks. This project does not mean I'm not doing the Orika structure deck project. I'm just kind of shifting priorities because this is a project I've always wanted to do as well. But there still aren't, and plus those Orika structure decks get really expensive, as well. A lot of the old cards in these character decks are not. So with that out of the way, I think we can finally deck profile Yami Yugi's Waking the Dragons deck. So of course, it's not a Yami Yugi deck without a Dark Magician. You always have to play this artwork in any Yugi deck. The only exception is Dark-Sided Dimensions, then you use the Dark-Sided Dimensions art. If you're building a deck based on that. But yeah, Dark Magician fuses with Timaeus to make Amulet Dragon. Then we have the Dark Magician Girl. Fuses with Timaeus, gets extra attack when Dark Magician's in the grave. Another iconic Yugi card. Have to play it. Then we're only running one Legendary Knight in the main deck. This is Legendary Knight Timaeus. I figured this is like the lineup. First I'm going through like the lineup of boss monsters. So Timaeus, he doesn't really have an errata. The errata is more on the spell card that brings him out. But I'm putting the other two Legendary Knights are actually in a side deck for this deck. There is a 15-card side deck that goes with the Yami Yugi deck, specifically for the final duel against Darts, which, I don't know, may or may not happen. So anyway, we got one Legendary Knight Timaeus. He's really hard to bring out. Then we have Blackluster Soldier. Classic. Awesome card. Awesome looking card. Which oddly enough, I never knew this until now, but it's one of the few cards that actually doesn't have a serial number, which is very strange. I think like there's this and the God cards that don't have serial numbers, which is really interesting. The last boss monster is Valkyrion the Magna Warrior, combination of Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. He's also a level 8, so you can use the Blackluster Ritual to just drop Blackluster Soldier by sacrificing Valkyrion, because he's usually dead in your hand most of the time anyway. So there's the magnets. Then any Yugi deck runs Gazelle and Baphomet. Most Yami Yugi decks run Gazelle and Baphomet, depending on the season you're basing it on. But Gazelle and Baphomet, they fuse with Chimera the Flying to make Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast. And it's really the only card you summon with Polymerization in this deck, unless you're playing the 2 versus 1 Kaiba and Yugi team up against Darts. Next up for some defense, we have Giant Soldier of Stone, Big Shield Gardna, an obnoxious Celtic Guard. Big defenders, and then this guy can't be destroyed by battle by your opponent's giant beaters. Really nice. Really good effect to have. Just defense is good in a deck like this when you don't have really outs to your opponent's field. Then we've got a Karibo, which combos with Multiply, and it's also a very classic Yugi card. Curry Bandit. Very good card for digging through the deck. Then we have a newcomer, Breaker the Magical Warrior. So yeah, one of Yugi's few spell and trap removal cards in this deck. And plus it just becomes a big beater with its spell counter if you need it for that too. So yeah, Breaker, obviously the Berserker Soul, attack, draw. Everyone's going to start drawing monsters now that I said that. Then we have one Sangan. Now some of the cards in this deck are errated to either reflect its original effect in the case of Sangan, or reflect its anime effect like in some cards you're going to see coming up, or it's either a hybrid between the real effect and the anime effect, which there is one card in Yami Yugi's deck here that is like that. But anyway, Sangan, very good card. If it wasn't errated anyway, but in these character deck duels, we play with the current era, with whatever the text was in the current time for that deck. And then we have Watapon. Dropping this off of drawing it with Card of Sanctity just feels so good. Next we have Catapult Turtle, another card we've errated back to its original effect, where you can use its effect multiple times per turn. And then we have the last monster of the deck, Electromagnetic Turtle. It's a good stall card. Just straight up banish it from your graveyard to end the battle phase. Alright, next we have spells. Yugi, first off, ran a lot of draw cards in Waking the Dragon. So he's got Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, and Card Destruction. And not only these three, obviously these are all like the best draw cards in the game. Card Destruction gets rid of dead hands while possibly disrupting your opponents. Draw 3, discard 2, just draw 2. It's really good cards, all banned for very good reasons. But the next draw card we play is Card of Sanctity. And obviously we errata this to the anime effect, where when you activate it, both players get to draw until they have 6 cards in their hand. Now that effect would be extremely broken in today's game, but when you're playing a clunky character deck like this, it really helps you see like your 4 or 3 card combos just that much better. So yeah, Card of Sanctity will retain its anime effect for these character deck duels. Next up we have the Eye of Timaeus. It's the legendary dragon for Yami Yugi. Fuses with Dark Magician Girl and Dark Magician to form their respective Timaeus fusion. And it's just cool. It's a cool card. My only gripe with this card is that I wish they would have just kept the artwork they had in the show and not this weird selfie dragon artwork. But whatever. It still looks kind of cool. But I like both arts, but I think I like the original one from the show better. And then we've got Legend of Heart. So the thing is with Legend of Heart is that you can banish just one dragon to summon one knight. So you just banish Timaeus off of this. You just banish Eye of Timaeus to summon Legendary Knight Timaeus. There is an errata on this card. Instead of paying 2,000 life points to activate it, you pay 1,000 life points, just like in the show. So that's Legend of Heart. It also has the effect where it negates and destroys the Seal of Orichalcos. It's the only thing that can do that in these character deck duels. So that's a pretty good, useful thing to have against someone like Raphael. Generic stuff. Monster Reborn. I'm surprised it's unbanned now, but in the real game, but I'm not sure if it's as good as it used to be. Haven't really played competitive in quite a while. Anyway, so one Monster Reborn. Almost every character had this. Then we have Draw Monstacado, Berserker Soul. Yep, Berserker Soul, which has been errated to its anime effect for these duels. So when your monster attacks directly with 1,500 or less attack, you activate this, send your entire hand to the graveyard, and you keep drawing until you draw a non-monster. And it keeps, and that monster that attacked keeps attacking for every monster you draw, and it keeps going. It doesn't just stack up to 7 times. It just keeps on going until you draw a spell or trap. So yeah, Berserker Soul. So yeah, Berserker Soul, pretty nasty card when used correctly. Swords of Revealing Light, just another classic generic Yugi card. Fissure. He used this once against the Orichalcos Gygus, but I figured Yugi needed some kind of monster destruction in his deck, so we just go with 1 Fissure. Multiply. So there is an errata on this card. There's 2 erratas. Instead of just working with Kuriboh, it works on any Fiend type monster that has 500 or less attack. And the other effect is that the tokens it spawns can be tributed. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's the errata on Multiply. But in this deck, you only use it with Kuriboh, so it makes it a little balanced, because otherwise, how are you going to get big monsters out like Dark Magician? Polymerization, have to use this artwork. I only own 1 of this artwork, so I'm actually using the other artwork in the Kaiba deck, so... but you'll see that when it comes around. Anyway, Polymerization, you only use this to bring out Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast or Dragon Master Knight in the team-up duel. And then the last spell is Blackluster Ritual for Blackluster Soldier. Now for traps. Magical Hats. Remember how I said that some of the effects of some cards and some of the errata effects are a hybrid between the show and the real effect? Well, this is one of those instances. I mean, there's 4 hats on the card. It spawned 4 hats in the show. So when this is activated, we take the monster, we take the 2 spells and traps from the deck, and then we take this card and add it to that pile as the 4th hat itself. So it's kind of a neat little thing. It also helps. It's also just much better that way with 4 hats instead of 3. And I figured it'd be a little imbalanced to be able to take 3 cards out of the deck, so we just take the actual card itself as the 4th hat, instead of just searching for 3 cards to spawn on the field. So yeah, that's Magical Hats. Yugi's best trap card is definitely Mirror Force. Not really much else to say there. And Zero Gravity it can come in handy sometimes, like changing a Big Shield Gardna back to defense mode while blocking. It can also block a full-on assault from your opponent. Dust Tornado. Yami Yugi's other spawn trap removal in the main deck. So there's that. Sadly cannot destroy Orichalcos though, unfortunately. Then we have the 2 ropes. We have Soul Rope and we have Rope of Life. Rope of Life has the same effect as it says on the tin here. But Soul Rope is actually errated, so that it also works if a monster is destroyed by battle, and it can activate during the damage step. That's the errata on Soul Rope. Then we have the other best trap in the deck, Relay Soul, which is errated to its anime effect in this deck. So when your life points become 0, you flip this up and can special summon 1 monster from your hand. While that monster is on the field, you stay in the game. If that monster you summon with this effect is used for like a fusion or ritual summon, the newly summoned monster becomes the monster that you have to get rid of to be able to beat Relay Soul. So yeah, that's pretty neat. I like Relay Soul. You saw it played on Raphael in the other video, so that's pretty cool. Now for the fusion deck, we have Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast. It's rarely ever comes out because, again, Yugi only plays 1-ofs. So, yeah, 1 Poly, 1 Gazelle, and 1 Berfomet, pretty hard to bring out. Then we have Gaia, the Dragon Champion. Now you're thinking, where is Gaia and Curse of Dragon? They're actually in the side deck, just because I really couldn't find room for those in the main deck. But I'll show you the side deck after the fusions here. Then we've got the 2 Timaeus fusions, Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, and Amulet Dragon. They're both very powerful in their own right, being able to banish all spells from graveyard for a huge attack boost, and Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, just being able to discard dead cards to destroy stuff is really nice. And it can still attack when she does that, so that's Pretty good. Then we have Dragon Master Knight. Black Luster Soldier plus Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. You can imagine that this is just for the team-up duel. Goddess Bow. Now, you're thinking, why is there a Hermos fusion in here? Well, if you watch the show, after Joey lost his soul to Mai, Yugi actually got the Hermos Dragon card. And with it, in his second duel against Raphael, he used it with Queen's Knight to make this. So that's why this is in the fusion deck. Well, it's not a card Yugi main decks. And then lastly, the ultimate fusion is Timaeus, the Knight of Destiny. An ultimate fusion of all 3 legendary knights, capable of taking out even the greatest of creatures, like Darts' Divine Serpent Ge. Now, side deck. Like I said, Curse of Dragon and Gaia. I forget when he played these. I have to go. I forget where in the show he played these. I can't remember if it was sooner or later, but yeah, he did play them. That's all I can really say. Buster Blader, Summon Skull. These were actually used after Yugi beat Darts, and then Darts just summoned the Leviathan anyway. So these were actually summoned against the Battle of the Great Leviathan before the God cards were used. So that's them. Then we have Archfiend of Gilfer. I couldn't really fit him into the deck. He's pretty nice to discard off a Graceful Charity and then lower the attack of one of your opponent's monsters. But that's really about it. So I figured I'd just relegate him to the side deck. Then we have another trio here. We have Jack's Knight, or King's Knight, Queen's Knight, and Jack's Knight. The Poker Knights. I felt little reason to run them in the main deck. They will be in the main deck for the team-up duel. But other than that, they were really only useful for getting out the Egyptian gods. Because, you know, King, Queen, Summon Jack, get your 3 tributes. Yugi didn't use the god cards in Waking the Dragons, so that's why they're not as good as they were in the main deck. So they're in the side deck, but will be in the main deck for the team-up duel so that Yugi has more warrior monsters for his Legendary Knights and Hermos. Speaking of Legendary Knights, here's Legendary Knight Critias and Legendary Knight Hermos. Again, only for the team-up duel, where he teams up with Kaiba and can use, well, he has Hermos in his deck, and then he uses Kaiba's Critias to create these guys with Legend of Heart. So, when all 3 knights are on the field, amazing stuff can happen, like overcoming impossible odds and destroying the Orichalcos. Next up, the Claw of Hermos. I've already explained why this is in the side deck, so I really don't need to go much further with this one. Next few cards are just some cards that I thought were good for the deck, but I just couldn't fit them in the main deck. So we have Dark Magic Curtain. Just pay half, drop a Dark Magician, but you can't summon other ways that turn. Sometimes Dark Magician is all you need when you're Yugi. The Shallow Grave. We already have Monster Reborn in the deck, and Shallow Grave lets your opponent bring back a monster too. And there's not really a lot in this deck that benefits from being summoned face down, so it's in the side deck. Mystical Space Typhoon. As good as this card is in character deck duels, I figured I'd go Yugi only used this once, as opposed to things like Breaker and Dust Tornado being more iconic Yugi cards. So that's why MST is in the side deck. And lastly, we have Dark Renewal. I forget when he played this in that season, but I'm pretty sure he played this. But Dark Renewal, just a good card to have for a spellcaster deck like Yugi's, which is somewhat spellcasters. So Dark Renewal. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile and me umming and on about Yami Yugi and character decks in general. So, I hope you like this deck profile. This is just showing off what was in that character deck and all the erratas and whatnot. If you like this video, give it a like, and please. And if you maybe even subscribe if you're new, comment, tell me what you thought, any suggestions you have for these decks, any suggestions you have for this project. Right now I'm only working on characters from Duel Monsters to GX, so no 5Ds on. Nothing past GX right now. So I do have a couple GX character. I have a GX character in the work, and I have another Waking the Dragons deck in the work. Can you believe that? Like I said, but you gotta wait for that special duel we're gonna have soon to see that one. Anyway, this is Florentine Yu-Gi-Oh! Out. I think I got everything covered here, so we'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.